Hey, so I played AP and I randomed and I got a carry and I got Ricky Maru. Okay, Ricky Maru. And I was like, I was kind of about it. And that's what usually happens to me. And it's very different for most people. And I want to talk a little bit about this. See, when people get into Dota, it doesn't matter if they're coming from scratch or from a different game, say League of Legends or whatever. In most cases, people want to go for the carries. Okay, carries are everybody wants to have carries. That's where you get situations where you have 5 carries and then you just instantly lose because you're not capable of actually doing anything in the early game, and then your opponents just destroy you. People really like playing carries because they become the most powerful, and it's really, really fun to kill everybody. But but it usually doesn't happen, okay, especially at the lower levels of play. And I personally don't really like playing carries as much as I do. First and foremost, playing a carry is really hard. If I was to put the 5 roles, or at least the 5 expected roles that you have in a general team, again, this is very general, but it's how things are kind of supposed to be. You have 5 positions, okay? 5 positions that correspond to the 5, like the amount of farm that you actually need. Okay, hard carry needs the most farm, so he's position 1, and the hard support needs the least farm, so he's position 5, right? But these don't exactly correspond to the amount of difficulty to play each one of these. Now, some people say things differently, but the way I see it is that the hardest thing to play, okay, if my thumb is number 1 in terms of the most difficult to play, it's the mid role. Usually it's the 2nd position in terms of farm priority, but he's playing 2nd, but he's the hardest to play, and that's the mid player. The reason is because it's usually a very even matchup. It's usually a direct matchup of one-on-one, but you can be ganked pretty easily, and you have to do very well technically, sometimes even better than the carry. The carry usually has an easier time because has supports and he's on the safe lane against an off lane. The mid is the hardest role, and in addition, in the early game, and in addition to that, mid heroes are usually pacemakers, are usually game makers. They're the characters the heroes that do the main thing. Okay, they set the pace for the entire game, and if you do poorly, then you kind of screw it up for everybody else. There's a lot of pressure on that hero. I mean, if you have a Puck mid or a Storm Spirit, you're expected to do a lot in the game. So mid is the hardest, the way I see it. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's mid, and then it's the carry, and then it's the offlaner, and then it's the 2 supports that are left are pretty much the same in terms of difficulty. The way I see it is because mid, I explained myself. The carry I'll explain in a second, and then you have the offlaner, which is kind of difficult to play because you're on the offlane, but it's not as difficult because you just gotta not die really and try and soak up a little bit of experience as much as you can. And then you have the 2 supports that are usually kind of, they're strong in the early game because their skills speak for themselves, and they're okay. They don't really need too much to do what they need to do and buy wards and stuff like that. So that's in terms of difficulty. Now, the carry is very difficult here. There's a big discrepancy between these things. The mid and the carry role are very hard, and then I'd say that the game is hard, everything is hard, but I'd say the mid and carry roles are really high up, and then you got the offlaner, which is decently difficult, and then you got the supports, which are kind of okay, a little bit less difficult than offlane because they're in less danger, but they're okay as well. That's in the general sense. Clearly there's so many things that can happen in the game, and so many characters, and different characters playing a Chen is very hard on your micro, and if you're bad in micro, then Chen could be harder than any mid hero, okay, specifically, and Chen is a support. It's always a support. So it's very general what we're talking about. But the reason a carry is very difficult to play is because you need to do 2 things at all times. Because of two main reasons. Not that you need to do things at all times. There's two main reasons for it. The first reason is because you have to farm all the time. You have to farm all the time, as efficiently as possible. You have to know the game, you have to sense the game, you have to know your opponents, and look at the map at all times and know where can you farm, and keep on farming 100% of the time. And no new player has ever known how to do that. That is a very difficult skill that comes in after about, I don't know, 4 years of playing. But no, I'm randomly throwing a number, but it's something that you really need to know the game in order to do, know your character, and be able to do efficiently. That is not easy. And it is something that you can learn, but it's also something that comes with time and experience. And new players don't have this. That's why they fail as carries in most cases. The second big thing, here is to know when to stop farming. Okay, so the first one is farm all the time. The second one is know when to stop farming. And I don't mean stop farming as in, that's it, no more farming. I mean when to take a break from farming, because you need to farm 100% of the time, the entire game, because you always need more and more and more until you're level 25 and you got 6 items and enough money to buy back twice, then you're done. Okay, then you don't need to farm anymore ever, I'd say. But until you reach that point, which is never in 95% of the matches, then you need to farm all the time. When to take a break is a big question. When are you effective? When can you do something? An anti-mage with nothing, then you're useless. Even if you're level 7 or 8 and your entire team is fighting, there's no point in you joining them because you have nothing. Okay, even if you've managed to get your Battle Fury very quickly, just a Battle Fury is not enough. You're very squishy and you can't really dish out the amount of damage, you can't really blink too much, you don't have enough mana, you kind of suck. And you need to just keep on farming and ignore your team. Even if your team is 4v5ing, and I don't know if they're doing well or they're doing badly, you should keep on farming. And you really need to sense the game and sense your team and understand the situation and know when to stop farming and when to go help your team and when to not, when to just keep on farming and completely ignore them. And that's something really difficult to do. It's it's game sense, and new players don't have this. Now, still everybody wants to play the carry because they have the most power and it's fun. I don't get that. When I get a carry and I random, when I play AP and when I random, which is always, I just don't, I get a carry and I'm, I mean, I random and I can play any hero in the game, and I usually just play whatever I get. Sometimes I just don't feel like playing one of the more difficult heroes that I dislike. I like Chen. I'm really bad with Chen. I'm bad with the micro. I do okay if I play him, but I just don't like playing him as much. So if I get Chen, I might repick, but I usually just go with the flow. Those are the heroes that I hate the most getting, the heroes that I really just dislike. There's very few of them. Very few of them. But other than that, I like getting heroes that are fun to play. I got like any support, any offlaner, some mid heroes that I know that I don't suck with because I'm not that great. When I get carries, I'm kind of always down low. When I get Void, I'm kind of And the reason what you'd expect, yeah, I got to carry, I'm going to carry the game, is that I'm really good at carrying. I know when to farm and when to join my team, and I farm very efficiently. I'm really good at it. And you know what that means? That means that I just farm a lot, and that's very technical, because my game sense is very high, so I just do something that's incredibly technical for 15-20 minutes. I just farm, and I get fed. I do really well. Even if I don't actually kill enemy heroes, I farm very efficiently, and I get what I need to get. And then I can actually start playing. And that period of time, it's not that it's completely boring, it's just that in a lot of cases I feel like this game is going to be kind of boring. If I get Void, well, we won. It's kind of pretentious, it's kind of like, I'm the best player ever, I'm totally going to win this one. That's not what I mean, but it's kind of what happens, because the level that I play in, if I'm allowed to farm, I'll usually win the game. As Void, I usually win. I don't really lose as Void unless I do stupid stuff. And usually as Void, I just like, Aghanim Scepter, Refresher, Dagon, instead of actually getting proper items. I usually don't do that though, because I play whatever I get and I play it correctly and properly. And I just feel like, I need to win the game now properly instead of just having fun and like constantly engaging and things like that. It sounds kind of bad, but that's just how I feel about carries, and that's why it's so weird for me. to see other players pick them. I understand it because, you know, they want to kill and do those things. But in order to get there, to get to the killing and to get to the high scores and to feel good because you're so strong, you need to do the farming at the start. And since they don't know how to do that, that rarely happens that you get that awesome feeling. You usually suck and lose because you don't know how to farm. And that's why new players should play supports first until they get a game sense, some kind of game sense, and then they can keep on going and moving to more difficult roles. So yeah, that's just me with carries. It just happened to me, like, I played a game of AP and I got a carry and I just won the game because my team did really, really well without me because I wasn't there. I just free farmed for like 15 minutes and then I just destroyed things. That's it. The game was done. And it was kind of... I still love it. I love Dota, but it was just meh. And yeah, you just... I don't know, that's just my feeling about it. I don't know if it changes anything in anyone, but that's just how I feel about it. And that's it, Dota and stuff, you know? Yeah, I'm working on my card game, and that's like all I'm doing, and then playing a game of Dota like once per day, and that's it. And I'm really enjoying it, and it's reaching completion, and it's going to be awesome. So stay tuned for more about that. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching as usual, and I'll see you guys next time.